Welcome to another episode of Think Out Loud, and today's episode is on Rachel's hierarchy of needs. So I have been thinking, there is a concept called Maslow's hierarchy of needs that many of you listeners may have come across. A guy called Abraham Maslow came up with a theory which was all about how the physiological and psychological needs of someone are basically in a tier, in a pyramid, and you need to cover the basics in order to progress up that success pyramid. I wanted to share what that was and then maybe adjust it a little bit. So this is the hierarchy, and basically what we've got here is the base at the bottom is the physiological needs. So that's basically, you need to drink, you need to eat, you need to breathe, you need shelter over your head, so a house or a property to live in, a bed or some kind of comfort to sleep on and actually survive. So these are like the survival needs. And then on here, interesting, is reproduction, because otherwise the human race wouldn't continue. However, I think looking at this on an individual level, that's possibly not a physiological need for everyone, but is for some people. And obviously without some people reproducing, then we're going to wipe ourselves out sooner or later. So physiological at the bottom there, meaning you need to be able to survive, I guess. The next tier up is the safety needs, and this is about personal security. So that could be, having money to pay for food, to put a shelter over your head, etc. It could be to do with feeling safe within your home, employment, resources, so money, accessibility to things that you need to do what you do, health, which is essential, obviously, and property is on there. So all fairly material things, I would say, on the safety needs, things to generate revenues, to bring in money, to buy things that you need to kind of look after yourself, I guess. Then tier 3 is love and belonging. And this is about having friends, family, people that you can count on, feeling part of a group, socializing, intimacy, and all of those things, I think, are probably more important now than ever after lockdown, where those things were taken away from us, weren't they? So we weren't able to go out and see our family or our friends. We were isolated, and that whole strip, other than online interactions, was really the face-to-face side of things was eradicated, I would say, over that period of time. Then it steps up to esteem, so respect for yourself, how you feel about yourself, your status within society, and freedom, again, which was taken away during COVID. And at the very top is self-actualization. So this is how you can kind of make the most of yourself and be the best version of yourself that you can be. So it kind of makes sense, right? Look after your basic functions like your needs, eating, sleeping, then make sure you make a bit of money, then make sure you've got some friends, then build your confidence, and then you can be whoever you want to be. And I thought, well, that is so basic, but actually life isn't like that. So I've created my own version of this. So what this is Rachel's hierarchy of needs. And at the bottom, pretty similar, we've got survival mode. So we have got water. You need water to function. Maybe beer would come into there, cider, maybe not. But we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to breathe, we need clothing, we need warmth, we need shelter. It's pretty much the same. And I've called that survival mode. And that is like, living, surviving. So the second tier is functioning. And this turns things on its head a little bit. And this is from my observations, from my experience, from my life, from people that I know, from my family, and from people that I'm friends with. In order to function, there are fundamentals that we need to do. Part of that is to do with really how you feel about yourself. If you feel awful, if you feel in the pit of your stomach, you don't want to wake up in the morning and you can't motivate yourself and there's just nothing you can do, that prevents you from so many different things. That prevents you from progressing, from getting up and going to work every morning, from going out and meeting people and socializing and making friends. So the first level there, the functioning level, the second level there, I've adjusted to be self-esteem, self-value, and importantly, the first point, exercise. We sit in front of computers. We've got quite static jobs, especially with a lot of people working from home now. A lot of people are sat down all day. How is that good for anyone? And it got me to thinking, and especially with lockdown, there was a lot of people that got up and made a change to their life because of lockdown. And they used that 1 hour a day, or whatever it was we were allowed to actually exercise. And they saw vast improvements, and they shed weight, and they felt better about themselves, and they improved, and their self-esteem improved, and their self-value improved. And they were able to then approach socialization and communicating with others because they felt better. So the functioning tier of Rachel's hierarchy of needs is actually fundamental. It nearly needs to be in survival. I've put it a tier above because you can survive without it. But I truly think that feeling good about yourself, feeling motivated about being you, is so critical. And exercise is a way to help you do that. I listen to and watch a YouTube channel, 44 Teeth, which is all about motorbikes. I don't even ride a motorbike. Well, I ride a Piaggio three-wheeler, but I'm only getting used to that. And actually something's broken on it. It needs fixing. And I was just getting my confidence, and now I haven't been on it for a while. But my partner is quite interested in motorbikes, and this show is actually quite good. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. I'll put the link below. Now, there's a guy on there who suffered from mental health quite badly, and he's openly come out because he thinks guys don't talk about these sorts of things, and it's all taboo. And he's approached it in a really interesting way because he is a bit of a character. He admits it. It's guys having a laugh on this program and kind of ribbing each other and riding around on motorbikes. What can I say? But the thing that he said on there, which really rang true, was in the worst of his work, the worst cases that he's had, where he really doesn't want to get out of bed, he's forced himself to get up and go for a walk. And walking has been his savior. It has helped him to function. It's helped him to get out of bed every morning, and he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go for that walk, but he's made himself do it. Anyway, he said he makes himself get out and walk every day, and that has been what has got him through some really, really dark times. Now, going back to my point, I said at the start of this that I think the hierarchy of needs adjusting because people are trying to reach these goals. There's a lot of pressure on people to be successful, to make more money, particularly now with the recession and everything is doom and gloom, and people are feeling a bit down anyway. We're now hitting winter, which is going to be even more of a shock. Luckily, it's quite sunny outside today, so that's cheering me up. But it made me really think, let's look after ourselves first before we try and, beat the world. So functioning, getting some self-esteem, getting some self-value, socializing with other people, which actually makes you feel good. Often, if you can combine these things, sometimes it can make you feel negative. Sometimes you can feel like the odd one out. Sometimes you can feel like people aren't listening to you, or they're talking over you, or they don't like you, or whatever. Normally that's in here, in your head, rather than actually what's going on. Normally everyone is in the same boat and they all feel that same thing. They're all thinking, oh, that person doesn't like me, or that person, why are they doing this? Why they do? Everyone feels similar. When you actually drill down to it, I think everyone feels similar. And you've just got to break that kind of pattern. And when you do, and if you're positive, and if you're able to apply your own personality to these circumstances, often you realize actually this is just like some mist that is like a non-existent negativity between people. So that's the functioning tier. The next tier up was productivity. So how to be productive. And this comes from others giving you respect, encouragement, and motivation. And this is something that all too often gets missed, I think, within roles, within jobs, within day-to-day life, you know, even in a family setting. What's like respect sometimes goes out the window, encouragement goes out the window, even, you know, something as laborious as emptying the dishwasher or washing up the dishes or cooking dinner one evening. What happened to, hey, thanks for putting the effort in? If someone does that, if they respect you and they appreciate what you've done, it makes you feel better, even if you cook every night, or even if you only cook once every week, it doesn't matter. In a work environment, if your clients or your employers are giving you encouragement and respecting what you do and showing and acknowledging value of that, that gives you motivation. That allows you to then motivate yourself. That allows you to then be productive and get things done, because you feel like you're progressing, you feel like you're improving, you feel like you're able to do those things. And at the end of doing them, someone actually accepts that you've done them well. And hey, what happens when someone accepts you've done something well? You want to do it again, or you want to do more of it, or you want to excel at it. So that takes us to the next tier, which is proactivity. So we've been productive, we've got stuff done. But proactivity is all about, I guess, pre-planning those things, going that extra mile, accepting that you're going to push a bit harder, you're going to plan a bit better, you're going to start things a bit earlier. So experience is going to give you that to one degree. If you've done it before and you know that time and time again it's not working, you may adjust things, you may change them. Exposure. So within mental health studies, there's something called exposure therapy, which is all about confronting your fears. Now, people have different fears, all kinds of different fears. Fears of buttons, fears of spiders, fears of fruit, fears of anything heights. I have a fear of frogs. I really don't. I panic. If I see a frog, I like get sweaty palms. I try and force myself to confront that, but it's a problem, and it was caused by my cat bringing in too many frogs into my actual living area, where they're not supposed to be. But let's go into that another time. However, going back to the point, exposure therapy is all about pushing your boundaries. So one of the other things that I get very anxious about is talking in front of people. Now, what I'm doing now is something that I've had not necessarily a fear of, but a high anxiety of doing, is talking to people and people judging me and people putting me down because I'm putting myself out there, or me saying something wrong, or me pronouncing something wrong, people judging my voice, my tone, my look, my posture, whatever it may be. The fact that I say all the time, picking holes in what I do, but a lot of that's just me looking back at me, a mirror image saying, oh, hold on. Oh, all these things that you think people are going to judge you on are probably things that you're judging yourself on, and actually have a word with yourself and get over it. So the podcast for me was actually an exposure therapy. Speaking in front of people, standing up and speaking in front of people, that is an exposure therapy. I recently joined the rowing club in Devon, and for me, I've never rowed before. The people seemed to know what they were doing. People already seemed to know each other. It was really daunting and scary and intimidating. And I went down there on my own and I joined, and I did my first race on Saturday, which was a rolling start, thank God, because I have no idea about starting a rowing race. Haven't learned that part yet. And I was okay. I've messed up loads of times. I was really nervous. It was a 3K race, rolling start race, timed race. I row in coxed fours, so 4 people in a boat rowing with one blade or oar, as you might know it, and so it's just on one side. So it's called sweep, and it's fine boat rowing. And we do it coastal rowing, which is on the sea. This happened to be on a river, which thank God, because it was much flatter and more sturdy. But it was my second time in a fine boat, because we normally go out in a training boat, which is slightly wider and more sturdy. My second time, 3K. It took 3K to get to the starting line, which I had not considered. So I was already knackered by the start. But I finished that race without falling in, without knocking myself out with my blade, without killing anyone or knocking anyone else in. I did it. And it was so difficult. It was really hard. And I totally underestimated it. But it was my exposure therapy. And you know what? I was pretty proud of myself. I didn't win any medals. I think we came third from last for the most slowest fine boat going over the line ever. I don't know. But my goal was to get across the line at the end. And in fact, we had a pact, no tears. If we all get across the line and there's no tears during or after the race, then we've done good. And that's what happened. So that was my exposure therapy. And I felt better after it because I made myself do it. I put myself in that position. I was proactive to do it. And with that, you've got to be a bit resilient. You've got to put some kind of, sometimes a bit of a facade to protect yourself, but also I might get hurt in this. I might have my feelings hurt. I might not do as well as I hope. I might let people down. Something might happen, but you know what? I'm putting myself out there and I'm trying to do it. I'm putting the effort in and I'm giving it a go. And with that, sometimes, people pat you on the back and say, you know what? Well done. So that builds the appreciation. That builds the whole motivation to go, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to try. And next time I know these things and I've learned a few things and it's going to be okay, or I can do this better. And that's going to progress me up the hierarchy. So at the very top, last but certainly not least, is kicking the world's arse. And this comes down to all those things before: eating, drinking, keeping warm, exercising, building up your self-esteem, respecting and being encouraged and gaining respect and earning respect, motivating yourself, pushing yourself harder, exposure therapy, and wanting to do it, desire, sacrificing things. So it may be my weekends I give up to go rowing. I could see it as giving my weekends up, or I could see it as gaining something on those days. I might have to, not go out with my mates one night, or, cut out the drinks, cut out the ciders now and again to make sure I can get up early enough. I might have to go to the gym a bit more to get more fit. All of those things, to a degree, are a sacrifice, but also they're a progress. Within work, you might have to work late. You might have to look up new stuff that you haven't learned before. You might not be able to put your kids to bed one night. You might not be able to do certain things that you wanted to do because you've got to focus on these things. You might have to travel and stay elsewhere. You might get home late. You might get stuck in traffic. Those are all little sacrifices that you might have to take. And I'm not saying do them all the time, but if you look at the elite athletes, if you look at the leading CEOs and successful people within this world, they've given a lot of sacrifice. They've committed, they've had drive and ambition to get them there. They've sacrificed things, but they've wanted to be there. Now, not everyone is necessarily going to be at that top tier all the time. And not everyone's top of the tier is the same. Not everyone wants to be an elite athlete. Not everyone wants to be a CEO. Not everyone wants to be a billionaire. And I think that's where Maslow actually kind of comes in quite well. He says here, desire to become the most that one can be. What is the most that you can get out of yourself? What is it that you want from yourself? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to achieve? What is this all about, and why have I created a Rachel's hierarchy of needs? Look after yourself first. How on earth do you expect to get to that top tier if you're not covering the basics? Say you're going for the top tier first of all, and you're not, and you're missing out some of those layers. You're going to get burnout. You're going to not achieve what you're hoping to achieve. You're going to get failures and not be able to perhaps manage those failures as well as you could if you've not got the other fundamentals in place. So there's probably some changes that can be made to my hierarchy. I mean, there was things already that I was thinking, oh, this should maybe adjust on here. It'd be really interesting to get your feedback. Maybe send in your ideas, put them in the comments. Tell me what you might do differently, if there's anything that's been missed off there, if there's anything that you think is crucial in order to progress up that hierarchy of needs. And also, how are you getting on? I mean, I'm definitely not doing all of them, and I probably could and should be gaining more of those things and putting myself in positions where I can achieve those things. But having thought about it, I'm more conscious of it, and I'm now making some changes to make that happen. Hence this podcast. It's been a long time. It's always difficult, I find, to make the time and, be consistent with these. That is something I'm going to work on. It's been great speaking to you guys again. I've missed you all. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to the next one. Bye.